Okay, folks, here we are starting again. Oh, you can't see me. Jesus, what should we do about that? There I am. There you are, Noel. Hello. You want to see the whole Noel experience? Jesus, come on, come on, come on, come on. Stop, come on. Now, there's a whole lot of Noel. Okay, so we will turn down seal and we will start again. So now we're going on to this section. Okay, so the section we're going on to now is section 9.3. So we go to our annotations again. So this file, this project is going to be 9.3, understanding file attributes. Now, okay, so 9.3, understanding file attributes. My writing is improving. You can see with the pandemic. See, Jesus wept. Actually, my nails are very long. It's getting harder to do. All right. Well, so this is all about metadata. Okay, in the previous example, I started talking about metadata. All right. Now, this section is completely about metadata. All right. So metadata is details about the files. Okay, such like is it a file, is it an executable, is it a directory, is it a symbolic file, all the rest. Okay, so we're going to create our project here. So go right click, new Java project, and I call it the same as usual, F9.3, understanding file attributes. Okay. Now, so we're going to put in com.android, and we only have two files, main and examples. So class main, public static void main, finish, new class examples. Okay, so we are going to go here. So we're going to go static. Okay, this is only going to be around an hour and a half, so I'm not doing an awful lot today. I had to cook dinner for various people, so that's why I haven't got much done today. Okay, now, so what is this whole section about? Okay, this is about accessing file and directory metadata. Okay, file and directory are attributes. Okay, which is data about the file or directory and not about the contents file or directory. Now, what I mean by that is, so when it was created, when it was last accessed, the size of the file, okay? Is it executable? Is it a regular file? A regular file is just a file that's not a link, symbolic link, okay? Now, there is 18 attributes with a ordinary file as far as I know, okay? Now, is there more? I don't know. I think Java standard does 18 different attributes, and I think we cover around 7 or 8. All right. Now, there is a way to access all of the attributes. I haven't figured it out yet. I know it involves streams. All right. Anyway, all right. So this metadata, this is all about metadata. It's just attributes of a file or directory. Okay. It's attributes of a path. That's what it is. Okay. Because you know a path can refer to a directory or can refer to a file. Okay. Now it can be an actual file, or this can be a symbolic link file. Okay, so here, first method is. So there's a number of ways how you can get the data. There is their or metadata. There is their own methods. For instance, is directory. Okay, it's a method of the files class. These are all methods of the files class. Now, there is also another way where you get one object, and this one object holds all of the metadata of a particular file or particular directory. Okay, so there's two distinct ways of doing this. We can call all these methods of the files class. Okay, we can call all these methods of the files class to find if something is a directory. Is it a file? Is it an executable? Is it a regular file? Is it a symbolic link? When it was last modified? When it was created? That's all metadata. All right, now, there are separate methods. Or you can create an object that holds all of this information. Now, these objects are called let's get this right first now. So just give me a second. These are what are called basic file attribute objects. Okay, so they're basic file attributes objects. All right, so first of all, we're going to show you all the methods. Now, probably won't get it all covered today. If I had the time to do it, I'd get all this covered in one shot, but it doesn't look like I'm going to have the time to do it today. Okay, so path there is going to be equal to, now I have paths.get, I know C original. Okay, now that is a directory in my machine, so make sure you have it in your machine as well. So we can see it here. Oops. Original. Okay, there it is. Now a whole load of other files appearing there. Okay, now so I'm going to import path to have an IO file, and we are going to create a file. Path file is equal to paths get, and this we are going to link it to this one here, my file.txt. Okay, so that is C original, and it is my file.txt. Okay, now so, and also I'm going to create a path, and I'm going to say S file. Okay, now if I look at my directory here again, we can see that there is a file that's a symbolic link. Okay, and that is called symlink my file. All right, so that's what this path is going to be, paths.get. Now it is, that's the start of it. Okay, C original, and it is called this. Copy and paste it in here. Great believer in copy and pasting. Okay, copy and pasting is the only way to go. All right, so we're going to be checking each one of these things. Now this one, so this is a symbolic file. Okay, that links to the file my file.txt. Okay, now so we're going to be running each of these methods. The first one we're going to do is directory on each one of these things. Okay, so I'm going to go here. Is this directory? So the method is files dot is directory. Okay, you see all these different methods. Now I want to check, is this a directory? This is going to return Okay. And the next one is this file directory. We go files that is directory, and we're going to say file. This should be false. Then we go here is symbolic link file a directory. We go files that is directory. This is going to be S file. Okay, so I'm going to run that from main examples.ex1. Let's take out this guy. So true, false, false. Okay, nothing too complicated there at all. Okay, now, so that's all that does. Now, if you're, so let's say your path is a file that doesn't exist, or a directory that doesn't exist. So the path, no path is equal to paths.get. I don't actually know what the printer is going to be here. We're going to check. So I'm going to say C. I'm going to say not exist. Okay. Now I'm going to ask, is that a directory? Now, my initial thoughts is that should return true, I think. Okay. So is this a directory even though it's not on my machine? So I'm going to go files dot is directory, and I'm going to say no path. See, I actually don't know what the answer is going to be here. False. Okay, so it has to exist. All right, so it has to exist. So yeah, so the directory has to exist for this to return. If the directory does not exist, it will. Okay, fine. Okay, so the next one is this. Is regular file. Now, what is regular file? Now, this is where it gets a small bit complicated. So, a regular file is a file that contains content as opposed to a symbolic link, directory, a resource. Now, resource is another file you're open, you're connecting up to another application, connecting up to MySQL, whatever. Okay, so or other non-regular file. So if it's connected to something and it's a file, and the file has content. Now, there might be nothing in the file, it might be empty. That's classed as a regular file. Now, a symbolic link is not classed as a regular file. A directory is not a file. A resource such as MySQL database is not a file. MySQL is a collection of files. Okay, so if you're connecting up to any other resource, any other application, that is not a regular file. Okay. Now, so we are going to test. First of all, we're going to test our directory. Oops. Is our directory a regular file? And we go file stop is regular file, and the first thing we're testing is the directory. This should return false. Okay, the next one is our file a regular file. Now, could be an executable, could be a Word file, could be any sort of file. Okay, they will all return true. In this case, we're asking, is this one a regular file? Yes, it is. But it doesn't mean that there may or may not be something inside it. Could be empty. But a regular file is that it could have content inside it. More often than not, it will have content inside it. So, is our file a regular file? And it's file files.is regular file. Okay, and we're going to say file. Okay, now, so this one returns false, obviously enough. This one returns true. Now, here's where it gets a small bit unusual. All right, not so much unusual. Now, is the symbolic file symbolic link file? Is the symbolic link file? Is the symbolic link file regular file? Okay, so if I go here, I got files. That is regular file. Now I'm going to say S. What is it again? S file. Now, so I previously said that this checks to see is it a regular file. So it can't be a directory, a resource, or other non-regular file, or it can't be a symbolic link. So you would think that this should return false. Okay. However, when I run it, it's returning true. Now, I previously said symbolic link is not a regular file, but what's actually happening here is that, remember, if you're using a symbolic file anywhere within IO2 using files, okay, that's not the file it's checking. It's checking the file it's linked to. The file it's linked to is that guy, okay? So it's not checking. So I'll put it in here. Now, put in here, clear all drawings, and where it comes from, it's from this guy is linked up to that guy. Okay, so I'm going to put in, so now S file is a symbolic link. However, this returns true, as it's not checking file, which is this guy, is a regular file. It's checking the file it's linked to, which is the file, that guy. Which is a regular file. Now, because what's happening there is the following. Let me just see now. This happen here. Okay. So I'm just going to try something here a second. Right, now, the default, whenever it counts to a symbolic link, is that it ignores the symbolic link and it goes to the file it's linked to. So if you want to check if this file is symbolic or not, what you need to do is the following. Right, so is the symbolic link file a regular file? So I'll change this. Is the file the symbolic linked file is linked to a regular file? Yes, it is. Okay, that's going to be true. Now, so if you want to check if the file is a regular file or not, and if it's a symbolic link, you don't want to automatically go check myfile.txt. What you need to do, now this does work. Okay, so is symbolic linked file a regular file? So what we do is plus files.is regular file. Now we get s file. Now if I just left it with s file, it would go to s file is the symbolic link, which is linked up to this guy up here. All right, so what we need to do is we need to provide about an option. Okay, one of the options is pt1 dot. Now I don't know how it didn't work before on a previous example, which I will have to come back to. It does work here. Okay, so if I run this, we get false. Okay, so this will return false. And we are telling Java not to go to the file that is linked to a symbolic linked file. So this is just symbolic link file. So just checking symbolic link file, which is this one. So this is just checking symbolic link file and not the file it is. Okay, so this returns. Okay, now, as well as checking, also as well, if you're checking for a file that doesn't exist, so let's go. So let's see. So I go no path is equal to paths.get, and we're going to go C original rubbish.txt doesn't exist. Okay, so we're trying to check, is this a regular file? It doesn't exist. So is the rubbish file a regular file? And we get files dot is regular file. Okay, just like is directory. If the file does not exist, it will return. Okay. Now, the next method that we're going to do is symbolic link. Okay. Okay, this is pretty much as it says in the tin. So I go, is this a symbolic file? So we're going to go files.is symbolic link. Is symbolic link, and we're going to test first of all the original file, which is this one here. Oops. Okay, that should return false. And then we'll try an actual symbolic link file. Is this file a symbolic link file? So here, is this symbolic link a link file? So we go files.is symbolic link. And this is going to be S file. So this returns true. Okay. So this returns false. Returns true. We don't have to use a link option or follow link here. Okay. So now I'm going to go to the original folder. All right. Now, so I am going to create a file inside here, and I'm going to call it txt. There it is. Okay, and I'm going to right click on it. I'm going to go to properties. Okay, I'm going to click on there, hidden. Click on apply. Okay. Now, it's actually there, but when you're hiding it, if you want to actually see your hidden files, you can go to view in your file explorer. Okay, click on hidden items. There's hiddens appearing. Okay, but I don't want it to appear, so I click off that. Right, so hidden is there, but I can't see it. All right, so here is hidden. Well, I have to pause this for 2 seconds. No, I don't actually. Is hidden. Okay, so now I don't know why I have to, for some reason or other, all of these work fine without being in a try catch block. As soon as you go into hidden files, it has to put in a try catch block. I'm not 100% sure why that's the case, but you do. All right, so this is going to be called path hidden is equal to paths.get see original .txt. Now, I presume there's a equivalent in Unix. I don't know what it's called. Okay. Now, so if I go is hidden txt file hidden. Files dot is hidden, and I'm going to say right now that has to be inside a try catch flag. Why that has to be in all the rest of them, not staying too sure. Okay, so catch. Okay, so I'll bring the slide in here. So this should return true. Okay, I test it against a file that isn't hidden. Is which was file. Okay, file which is this guy. Okay, is my file.txt hidden. That should give that is hidden, and I'm going to say file false. Okay, so say it here. Before you run this example, create a file called txt, and then right click on the file, right click file, properties, click on hidden. Okay, show you again inside here, right click, new text document, wallet, right click, properties, click on hidden. Okay, now so now can you hide a directory? Let me just see, I don't know if you can. New folder, hide there, right click, properties. You can. Yep. Cancel. Oh, bugger. Hold on a second here. Okay. I want to unhide all of these guys. Very strange that I did that, isn't it? Apply. Okay, so hide hidden. Hide. Right. Now I just want to hide this guy. Properties. Hidden. Apply. Okay, that's the only guy I want to be hidden. All right. So I'll go to view, hidden items, hide dir is gone. Okay. If I go view again, hidden items, I can see hide dir is there. Now, I haven't done the example out, but I presume that, so this should be returning true. False. This is not hidden. Now, so I have one called, what did I call it again? Hide dir. Okay, so is the directory hide dir. So I'm going to call files that is hidden, and this is going to be pets get original hide dir. Okay, that should return true. Okay, saying it's not hidden. Let me just see. Let's have a look at hide dir. It's definitely hidden, isn't it? I'll go view hidden items. Okay. Try running it again. Still getting this false. Strange. Now I thought seen as it's hidden, but doesn't seem to be. Okay. Let me just see, is this guy saying so? I call it hide dir. Get. So it's this guy. Now, just to make sure that it's recognizing it. So we go files that is directory hide dir. True. So it is a directory, but it's not recognizing this as hidden. Okay. Let me just see what it says about it's hidden. Tells whether or not a file is considered hidden. So it's for a file. It's a platform provider dependent on Unix, and files can be hidden if names begins a period in Windows. If it is in the directory and the DOS. Okay, so this only works. Okay, so this only works for hidden files. Okay, this only works for hidden files, so it doesn't work for hidden directories. Learning something new every day. Okay, now next one is readable. Now, is readable. Now, is readable basically means, can I access this file? Can I access this directory? That's all is readable is. Okay, so we have a file and we have a directory. So is the file myfile.txt readable? Can we access it? Okay, and it will go files.is readable, which is going to be file, which is, that should be true. The directory is directory C original readable. Okay, so we go files.is readable That should also be true. Okay, so all is readable is, can we access? This is just checking to see, can we access files or directories? Now, as I am admin, I can access any folder on my own machine. Okay, I'm logged in as a super user here. So I can't, if I logged in as a different user and I was trying to access, let's say, the system32 folder. Was the system32 folder? Let me just see, where's the system32 folder? Folder. So this is in, I can't remember this, I think it's system32 folder, well, which is it's got a lot of stuff on it, let's say this way, that you're not supposed to mess around with, right? So if you're coming on as an ordinary user, you won't be able to access that folder. Now, I'm a super admin on this machine, so I can access every file in every folder, all right? So this is just checking to see, can you access a particular file in a particular folder? Now, if you're trying to, is no path readable? Go files dot is readable, no path. Now, what was no path be equal to? Not exist. Okay, so that should be false. Okay, so this will be true. This will be true. False, as this is a folder that does not exist. So similar to the ones, if it doesn't exist, it's going to be false. Okay, now the next one is executable. Okay, so this is probably more, it'll be important enough file. Okay, so now I'm going to show you a simple way around it, of course. All right, there's a very simple way around it. Okay, now I am going to get I'm going to go here to my folder that contains all my Eclipse versions, a couple of different versions of Eclipse. Okay, so here they all are, right? Blah, blah, blah. All right, now I'm going to go in here, all right, and I'm going to copy that file. Okay, I'm going to copy that file and I'm going to paste that file into C original. Okay, into, where's my original file gone? Don't say it's invisible. It is too, bollocks. Okay, I don't want to make that invisible. So properties, hidden, apply change to this folder only. Okay, so go to my original file, and the hidden files, I can actually see them, but hider and hidden. All right, now I'm going to paste it into here. So I've got eclipse.exe. All right, now, so I have Eclipse there. So this next function is executable. Okay. Now, what is executable? Okay, is executable. So now this might operate different in Unix, and in fact, I'm nearly certain it does operate in Unix. All is executable does is that it checks. Actually, I'll do the examples first. Let's see. Okay. So if I go to here, okay, and this is C original eclipse.exe. This is an executable file. So I'm going to ask the question, is this an executable file? Okay, is file executable? Executable is a file that runs, that does something, okay, that causes your application to run. In this case, it causes the Eclipse application to run, all right? So now, of course, you have to be careful with exes. You have to absolutely know positively what they're going to be doing, okay? Now, it doesn't actually run the exe. It just checks to see, is it an exe, right? So I go plus files dot is executable, okay? And I'm going to say it's ex file. It's going to run, and it's going to say true. Now, if I run it against an ordinary file, is my file we go, we're going to say item. It's going to be true, because what executable actually does is it doesn't check if the file is executable or not. That's in Windows. What it actually does in Windows, which is kind of stupid, in Windows, this checks if the OS has privileges to execute the file. Okay, it does not check if the file is executable or not. Okay, now, so it's just saying, does this person have the privileges to run an executable file? Now, you've often seen back in GRATB, when you try to do anything, you see this thing that comes up on the screen, you need it to log in as an administrator. Okay, what's happening there is in the background, there's an exit that's attempting to run, and the exit can't run because you don't have the privileges to run an exit. Okay. What was I going to say? Right, it does not check. So it doesn't check if it does not check if the file is executable or not. Okay, it just checks to see if this wasn't executable, or do you have the privileges to run executables in the machine. That's all it does. Now, so even though this file here is not an executable, so file is not an executable path, as it's, oh, I go all the way up here. This is really boring. Really fucking boring. But we have to get through it, as it's, okay, file is not an executable path, as it, but this will still true, okay, as it's just checking to see if you have the correct privileges to run executables. Now, I am going to, now, one way, now they have got better, all right? But one way in the past how you could fool virus scanners, now I presume they're better nowadays, but one old trick is that if you want to get around virus scanners, if you want to get around network traffic, if you want to get around firewalls, one of the oldest tricks in the books is the following. Your exe change to something else. Okay, now, so I copy it, right? Control C, Control V. Now, I am going to change the file extension. All right. So I changed the file extension from exe to something like JPG. Okay. Yeah, doesn't care. All right. Now, that is an exit. Still an exit. All you have to do to change it back to an exit is, now sometimes it can cause issues. All right. So I'm going to change it back. Rename. I call it Eclipse 2. Exe. Unusable, yeah, sometimes. Eclipse 2.exe. I change it back. All right. Now, I presume most firewalls probably will be able to spot it, but the ETBs not able to spot it. Because I remember there once upon a time I was trying to share exes with you on the Google on some drive, and it wasn't letting me upload exes. But as soon as I changed it to a JPG, then it had uploaded. Okay. So now, why am I doing this? Because there's something strange here that I don't fully understand. Okay, so I am going to create another path, exe2. Okay, is equal to path stop get. Now, it's going to be very similar to this, except it's going to be called eclipse2.jpg. Okay, which is there. Okay. Now, if I ask, is that an executable? Is eclipse2.jpg executable? I go files.isExecutable. Is executable exe2. Yeah, that's fine because it was actually coming up as false before. Okay. Yeah. So it doesn't check if something is executable or not. Is executable only checks have you got the privileges, or you might have certain privileges, because you can set privileges to different files. In one file, you could have, in one folder, you could have a privilege to use executables only in one location. On a whole network, there's only one folder where you can run executables. Okay, so you can run a particular file in that particular folder. Anywhere else in the network, you can't run executables. You can't do that. Okay, so this is going to be true. This is also going to be true. So just to tell you that it's no harm to know this, that it might look like a picture, but it ain't a picture. That is not a picture. All right, that is an executable. That is an executable. For instance, it can do the following. You download what you think is a picture. There's code contained within that as soon as it sees it's being downloaded, it will change its own file extension to .exe, and it can run on your machine. All right. You can also do the following. You can have a big complicated, you can have a picture, right? And you open it, it looks like a picture of a man smiling. Okay. However, one of the pixels, just one of the pixels, is actually an exe. All right, that's the sort of things you can do. So you can have a picture let's download it. But one of the pixels could actually be, so the exe is actually embedded into the picture. Or the exe could be, it might look like a picture until you double click on it. What actually happens in that situation, there's code inside it that knows when it's been double clicked, it changes its file extension back to exe, it runs on your machine. Or there could be, the file could be linked up to another, it could be a symbolic link. Okay, might look like a picture, it might even open as a picture, but it's actually a symbolic linked file and it's linked up to an exe that runs as soon as you click on the picture. All right, so yes, there's even websites just by displaying a picture on screen, it could be doing all sorts of malicious shit, right? So executables, there's a number of ways of disguising them. You can disguise the whole exe as a picture, as a Word document, so on and so forth. You can insert a exe in an individual pixel in a picture. Okay, you can also have a picture that is a symbolically linked file. It opens up as a picture, it displays a picture, but it's actually a symbolic link. So what's it doing? It's linked up to another file. That's running an executable. An even more sophisticated way is, now this one is hard to do, but it can be done. You could have a picture that has pixels, okay, just little pixels, little, so all your pixels are going to be given a hex number. All right, that's the way pictures work. All right, your pictures are made up of little dots that are going to have a hex number. A hex number is something that represents a color. Now, this is sophisticated, but it can be done. You can have a picture on your machine. And I think if you click on the picture, they might look like just hex numbers, but these hex numbers are actually containing computer code. And when you click on them, it causes the code to run. It causes an exe to be compiled on the fly. Now that is very, very sophisticated. I wouldn't have a clue how to do it, but you can do it. All right. So you don't even have to click on the picture. You might be just displayed. There's no exe there, but these all contain hex numbers. Like when you're viewing them, the hex numbers are actually computer code. Okay, remember they're all computer code. It's just a series of noughts and ones, and so by just looking at the picture, recombines them to produce an exe on the fly. So the picture by itself does not contain an exe, but by clicking in the picture, by viewing the picture, it causes the exe to be compiled fresh. Right? That's very hard to guard against. Very hard. All right. Now that'd be pretty high grade stuff, but it can be done. All right. So you can hide an exe, or you can compile exes on the fly. Usually it requires a click, not always. All right. Just by looking at a screen, the exe is not there. If you just click on some other link, it causes the exe to be compiled. All right. So it's serious shit, as they say. Now, so take this lad out of the way. So is executable, it doesn't check to see if a file is executable, it just checks to see in this particular location, can you run an executable file? That's all it is, okay? Check to see if the correct period to run executables at this location, okay? So at this location, can I run executables? Yes. At this location, can I run executables? Yes. At this location, can I run executables? Yes. Okay. Now, so the last one in this particular section is size. Okay. Now, so I am going to go here. Now I want to, so let's have a look at myfile.txt, which is this guy here. I go to properties. Now it's saying that it's 18 bytes. Okay, so I'm going to check the size of that file using using the size function. Now, again, it has to be in the try catch block. Now, I need to know why some of these functions have to be executed and other ones don't have to be. I'm not 100% sure. Okay. Right. I'm sure there is a very valid reason. If any of you know it, send me an email. Okay. See. Now, so we want to file the size of, size of my file.txt is, we go files.size file. Now, to recap, here, so it's my file.txt. Properties, it's coming up as 18 bytes. All right. Now, if I print out this one, okay, so it does say 18. All right. Now, let me just check the exe. Okay, so the exe was exe file. All right. So size of Eclipse exe is, so I go here, and this is ex, so files dot size, and it's ex file. Now that is in that is 56 bytes. That is 4,000 kilobytes. That's 4.2 megs, isn't it? Let me just see. $416 kilobytes. Now, yeah, okay, it's showing it here. Now, this size is going to be, the bigger the file, the bigger the discrepancy. All right? The bigger the file, the bigger the difference between what the operating system says the file is and what Java says the file is. For instance, here, properties, we can see that saying here it's 414 kilobytes. Here it's 424 kilobytes. All right, 424 kilobytes. Yeah, that's right, because that's 424,000 bytes. Yeah, 424,000 bytes. Yeah, that is 424 kilobytes. Okay, that's 424 kilobytes. Now, it's not that now when you run an OS, all sorts of things is happening. Okay, your OS is doing all sorts of compression, all sorts of fancy shit, which you wanted to do, right? You know, you just want to be able to turn on the machine and get it to work. You don't want to have to go, oh, this is too big or this is too small. I want to, you know, you just wanted to save and you wanted to save. Okay, you press save, you want to save. You don't want to say, I want to use a particular type of compression to make the file smaller than normal. All right, you just wanted to save. All right, so your OS is doing all sorts of compression and all sorts of fancy shit in the background. All right, so the thing to note about size is, okay, the size here may be different from the size expressed in the OS due to file compression and organization. Okay. So there's all sorts of fancy shit. Your operating system, Ravage operating system, you know, you don't have to go into the guts of it. It works. It's fine, right? So there's all sorts of things. So this gives here. So here in Java, so for example, here Eclipse exe is said to be of size 424 kilobytes, which is 424,000. 424,456 bytes. However, if we check Windows, it says 416, I think. Let's just have a look, see. Right click, properties. Now it's saying 424. Bollocks. Okay, so it's saying 414 bytes, and yet it's saying 424 here. Okay. All right. So that is right. And yet it says, I never noticed that before. I know that when it says on your hard drive that you've got, let's say, a gigabyte of space left, that is only usually around 900 megabytes of space. All right, I know that. I didn't know it was this. I never noticed that before. I never noticed the discrepancy here before. Oh, fuck. Right. Hold on a minute now. Hold on a second now here. I'm just checking one last thing. So let me just see. Whoa. Okay. You see, here's the thing. Just have a look up there. Yeah, boy. If you're expressing kilobytes in decimal, now I don't understand this, right? But I'll just say it here. Okay. It's saying here there's 1,000 kilobytes in a megabyte. All right. And that's to say that's in decimal. Okay. And if it's in binary, this is the bit I don't understand. It says 1024. Right. So, do you know what? It doesn't really matter. Just that size here may be different due to file compression and organization. Now, it seems to be the same, but so the size, it may not be the same as what on your OS, okay? So the size may not be what's expressed on your OS. Now, on your OS, it's probably going to be more, sometimes, okay? Now, if you want to get a size of a directory, so let's say country, I go property, not bytes. So I'll put a couple of files inside it. What I'll do, I'll copy all of these files inside it. Something inside country. copy town. Okay, so load of shit there. Okay, so properties, and that's in size and disk, no bytes. Properties, 1 file, 2 folders. Let me just see copy town. See copy town. Okay, I'm gonna go here. System size. If I go files, size, and we go paths.get C original, and it is, the folder is called copy town. Let's go to 4096. Okay, now it's not showing. Yeah, that's another thing I didn't notice before. Let me just see if I put this in it. Okay, so now I have a look at it. Okay, it doesn't really. It's at 4096. If I just try another directory, country. So if I change here, and this is country. Okay, so if you have something in it, one. Okay, now I know to get the size of a directory, this does not work. Okay, so I know that for a fact. Size method does not work for directories. Okay, for that, you need to walk directory tree. Okay, which will be explained in the section. Now, size will work for files. Now, the size may be different. Now, in this case, it doesn't seem to be different at all, right? Only I had previous examples here, there were different sizes, right? Now, as far as I know, the size that's represented here is more accurate, right? This will get you the actual size. Because often, if you're storing stuff on an operating system, the file is not used that often. It may be compressed. And in order to view it, you have to uncompress it. All right. So this will get the size of the file as it is currently residing on your hard drive. You, by actually doing something to it, by viewing it, could cause it to uncompress to make it bigger. All right. So this is probably going to be more accurate of how big it is currently on the hard drive. All right. It doesn't work for directories. It only works for files. It doesn't really work for directories. It might just get the files that are contained inside the directory, but it won't contain any subdirectories. I think something like that. Okay. Now, so I nearly have to finish soon. We'll just, so that is size now. It'll get the size of the file. It doesn't really work for directories. With Windows in particular, there may be a difference between the size that's expressed here and the size that's being expressed when you right click in the properties. Okay. Depends where it's stored, if it's compressed, whatever. As far as I know, this should be more accurate. It'll get the size of the file at the current time. All right. Maybe by when you actually click on the file, it might have to uncompress it. All right, or might be linked up to other files that need to be unzipped that are automatically unzipped. All right. Now, so this is all still metadata. So I'm just going to do a brief. Now, a lot of metadata is going to be time-based. All right. So we want to find out, actually, we will get time to this one. So static void ex2. Okay. So I'm going to do path file is equal to paths dot get c. Now, if you're sending a file to someone, okay, and I am a CEO of a top company, and I sent you a file Sunday night at 11 o'clock. I want to make sure that this file hasn't been tampered with in any way between the time the person sent it to me and the time it came to me. All right. So you need to be able to check the last time the file was modified. So the last time, if I said I sent it at 11 o'clock, the file should have been last modified at 11 o'clock. If I see that it's been modified at 1 o'clock in the morning, that means someone else has accessed the file. Someone else just changed it. All right. So if we want to make sure that a file hasn't been modified in an intervening period, we can use something called get last modified time. Okay. Now, as far as I seem to remember in Windows, let me just see if it's still there. Right. So if I click on my file.txt, if I go to properties, so it was created in my case on the 2nd of April at 10 minutes past 1. Okay. It was modified on the 7th of April 2020 at 1 o'clock. Okay. Now I presume accessed. Yeah, I think I changed the name. So let me just see. I'm going to access it now. I'm going to open it up. Yeah. There we have our file changed. Save it. Now I'll go right click. Properties. Modified. Today is 7th. Okay. It's shown. It said it's been modified at 1 o'clock on the day. Right. That is slightly strange, isn't it? Let me just see. I'll modify the file extension. So I will go to properties. Right click. Rename. I'm going to say .docx. I'll change it back to txt. And actually, it even works. Very good. My file.txt. All right, click properties. Now what's coming up saying it's been modified as of 1 minute ago. It was accessed 1 minute ago. It was modified at this time. All right. Previous versions. There are no previous versions. File history from restore points. Restore points turned off here. Okay. Date created. Date modified was 1656, which is correct. Anyway, all right. Now you can set something called restore points in Windows. Neither here nor there, right? Now, so what we're trying to do is we're trying to see, has this file been modified? All right. So if I go back here, so this is our original file. And I'm going to go local date.now. Okay, so that's just going to get the current time. So it's ex2. Okay, so that's the, I want to get local date time, not the local date, so date time. Let me just see now, why is that? Okay, so local time.now. So there we are, there's the time. Okay, so that is almost 5 o'clock on the 7th of April 2020, on week 2 of the big lockdown. All right, so week 2 of the big lockdown that you can tell your grandchildren about. So this one here is get last modified time. All right. Shite. So I am going to go try. So and catch. So we go files dot get last modified file. Okay, so it's an exception because it's not an IO exception. All right. So if I run this ex2, let me just see. 15, so the current time, so the last time modified it is 15:56:36. Okay, so if I come along and I modify the file, okay, file is modified. So current time is 17:01. So it should say it was modified at 17:01. Fingers crossed. There it is. Yeah. Wait to hear this. Just wait until you hear this. Okay. If you run this during the summer, it doesn't take daylight saving times into account. So our clocks went forward, backwards, whatever. Okay. This only works on European, or sorry, it doesn't work on daylight saving times, summer saving times. Okay. So it's showing up here as 16:01, even though it was 17:01. Okay, I'll do that again. So I will modify the file somehow. So, woohoo. Okay, so 17:02. So file last modified 6:02, 16:02, but it isn't. 17:02. Oh, go away. Okay, it's 17:02. All right. Why doesn't it do daylight saving times? I don't know. Okay, it's stupid. All right, so what does this return? This returns local date time of when the time file was last modified. However, this does not take into count daylight saving time in Ireland. So if ran in summer will be 1 hour behind the official time, i.e. the clock in April reads 17:04, but this will return 16:04. Okay. Now, what you can use instead is you can have the amount of milliseconds, the amount of seconds since the file was last modified. Okay, so I last modified the file at 2 minutes past 7, 2 minutes past 5. All right, this guy here. This is when I last modified the file. Okay, so it's going to be approximately 4 minutes. So if I want to get, so I'll go here. Now, if I want to convert this into the amount of time that it's taken since get last modified time, that is going to be a something called a file time. It's not return. Okay, I know where that is. What does it return? The static that returns. Okay. All right. So we're going to say the amount of milliseconds since file was modified. It's all of this. So it's going to be plus all of this. And we're going to call the method 2milli. Okay. So that's going to be the milliseconds. We're going to go here. The amount of seconds since file was modified. It's going to be this. I don't think these are 2 seconds, as far as I can remember. We'll find out now in a minute. Okay, so yeah, there isn't. So it's 2 time unit. I'm going to say time unit dot seconds. We want to find out, so this should be okay, that's definitely wrong. Bollocks. Okay, that's because it's saying it's an hour. Oh. Ah. So what we have to do, we'd have to take an hour away from that. Jesus Christ, that is a pain in the fucking arse. So you'd have to do something like this. Can I go dot? No, fuck it. Can we do dot minus? Okay, see what's happening there, just to show you. All right. So because it's an hour behind time. So if I change this, you should see it over an hour, should see over 60 seconds. So time unit dot minutes. Time units, minutes. Get less modified time file. Time units, minutes. Files of get less. I just want to pause this for a second. Okay, so folks, so screwy going on here. So I think that this is as good a time as any to finish for today. Okay. All to do with daylight saving times, and that's what's happening here. I need to how to change it to correct time format. Okay. So we'll start at this on our next lesson, which will be tomorrow. Okay. So tooltip, folks, and we just have two more exits, EX3 and EX4. Okay. EX3 is about getting something called get owners. Now, owners don't really exist in Windows. They're more kind of a Unix construct. And then there's something called read attributes, which is something called a view, okay, which is a single object that holds all of these attributes. All right. Now I need to see why I need to get these work on. I know what's wrong. It's not taking into account daylight saving times, but even with that, it's the amount of minutes. Okay, should be only giving us around 60 minutes. So let me just see if I unmodify it. I'll run this file again. Okay, so last modified time, it's 1711, which is good. Okay, but files.get less modified 2 milli. All right. Okay, no, that's not it. I don't know what that is. Okay, I really don't know. So that's 931, 932. So this is adding up, but 26. That is 24,000. That's 1,000 days. No, 60 minutes. Time unit and hours. Just see how many hours. Four hours, 10 days. Time unit dot. How many days? Days dot hours dot. That is, I don't know. All right, so I'm just going to finish for today. Okay, so I will come back to this. Okay, so toodle pip. See you all tomorrow.